Hello and welcome to the next episode of Let's Talk Brand, the first in Poland series of video interviews with world-class branding experts. Today I have the privilege of talking to Ezequiel Abramzon, who became a global creative leader working at Disney company for more than 20 years, both in Latin America and Europe. He was helping develop such brands as Disney, Marvel, and Star Wars. He is from Argentina, but now he is based in Madrid. And he's a brand consultant working with entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial companies to transform the way they see their business by unlocking their brand mindset. And brand mindset is the topic I'm going to focus on this episode. Hope you will enjoy listening to my conversation with Ezequiel Abramzon. Okay, hello Ezequiel.
Hey, how are you, Lucas? Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm fine, thank you. And how are you? Oh, you know Polish language. I was about to ask you if you've ever...
It's the only thing I know.
But you've learned before, or you've been to Poland, or you've worked for a company in Poland? Okay, wonderful. And it actually was perfect. Perfect, dzień dobry. So I'm not going to ask you if you've been to Poland or ever worked for for the company based in Poland. I'm asking this because sometimes it turns that my guest worked in Poland or has Polish roots or was almost in Poland, but due to different circumstances was almost in Poland.
Yes. My last role at Disney was leading creative and product development for Europe. And we had a team of designers in Warsaw that I got to meet through Zooms and calls. And then the pandemic came in, so I couldn't actually travel, but it wasn't my plans. I know that there's great design talent in Poland.
So you were almost in Warsaw, at least online.
Yeah.
All right. One of the idea behind Let's Talk Brand podcast is the presentation of the best experts, so that Polish entrepreneurs, marketers, and students know where to look for inspiration. So I would like to start. You've already told us that you've worked for Disney, but if you tell us a little bit more about your professional background, because I already know you shifted from a corporate work to consulting, and now you are living, you can say, post Disney life. But if you could just answer the simple question: what is your professional background, so we know you better?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So I actually started as a freelance designer and an artist and an illustrator. Since I have memory, I lived through creativity, and I started very young, designing and freelancing during high school. I was actually providing design to some clients without knowing how to design when I was 16. I went to the coffee shop, tell the guy what to put in the ad. I would print that ad and go to a newspaper. Yes, in that time we didn't have internet and email, so we had to actually ship prints. So I did that when I was very young, and I actually got in love of communication. I started collecting. I bought magazines for the ads, not for the content itself. So I used to collect pieces of art, pieces of content. So yeah, very, very early. And then I went to University of Buenos Aires to study graphic design, where I also ended up teaching typography for almost 10 years. I've been always into design, and at that time I worked for several industries as an illustrator or as a designer for software companies, advertising agencies, TV channels, retail brands, and editorials. Until I got a job at Disney as a freelance illustrator and designer for an event. Then they liked it, and they offered me my first job at Disney, which was as a junior creative. Then since I got there, was kind of a dream come true. So I stayed there for 22 years. I joined in 1998 and I left in 2020 during the first year of the pandemic. Along all those years at Disney, I started as a junior designer, but I was also into web design and CD-ROMs, which was for the younger audiences. It was a thing you listen to music, but you would also put on a computer to have an interactive experience. So I was into that. And then when I joined Disney, I started helping actually launch the first websites for Latin America. And since then, I was the internet guy or the online guy. And over the years, I grew my responsibility to lead all digital things in the region. We launched the advertising business in digital, content distribution, mobile apps, video games, virtual worlds, social media. A lot of digital things were new for us at that time, and we were incorporating all of that. We were like a startup within the corporation, kicking off things and with a lot of entrepreneurial spirit. And because of that, I was into the digital environment or ecosystem, actually. So I collaborated with hundreds of entrepreneurs and startups, particularly in the technology space. I mentored many of them. I've been in a lot of pitch demo days and events. So I got into really helping the entrepreneurial community. And I traveled around the world working for Disney, so I got the chance to see how a lot of brands and companies do it around the globe. And I identified something that for me was very surprising, but I was actually looking at those problems through the Disney lens, which was that all of the startups or entrepreneurs that I got to know, they saw their companies and businesses through the product lens, not through the brand lens, as I was doing for Disney. So when I left Disney in 2020, I actually decided to start helping those entrepreneurs, startups, leaders to think brand in everything they do while they are building their business, whatever the stage of the business is. So since 2020, I'm actually doing this, trying to help them transform their businesses.
Okay, but the shift already started during your time when you were working in Disney, as you said. And
yeah, so I started as a freelance, working for years, like 9 years, since I started at home, no office, going to clients' offices. Then I got 2 decades as an executive at Disney, and then I left Disney to start to work at the home again as a freelance consultant. Yeah.
And to share your knowledge with startups and entrepreneurs. And do you still design?
I do design a lot for me. I'm really into clean presentations and obviously the content that I create. Last year when I started this new phase, I wanted to go back to design. I helped a couple of companies with the visual identity. I'm proud of the work I did. They liked it and they launched them, but it's not something that I do anymore. I did it as a kickoff to help these companies. Some of them are really innovative and great, but I actually now focused only on the previous part, which is the strategy.
I've seen this. I've heard about this kind of shift many times, because it's the same with Martin Niemeyer. He started as a designer, and now we know who is Martin Niemeyer. Same with Chris Do, okay, from the designer to the teacher, consultant. The same with Matt Davis. You know Matt Davis because
of course, great guys.
You know,
actually, thanks for comparing me or bringing up those big names to the table. But I admire the 3 of them. I actually got to meet 2 of them, not Chris. But I guess it comes with time and age, that you've been through a lot of experiences and you have expertise, that you end up being, I guess, more valuable to the community, to the environment, to the ecosystem that you're work with, or the industries. from an advising perspective, from a thinking perspective, than the operational or execution side, which is how creatives start. I love to do. I am an artist as well, as you can tell. I have a lot of things here because I paint, I draw since I was a little kid. Actually, that's why I started. I do it almost every day. And I like to put my hands on things. When it comes to helping brands or companies, I think I'm more valuable when it comes to the thinking part, to help them click and develop what I call the brand mindset. I'm sure we're going to talk about it, rather than just helping execute, because I believe that there are a lot of talented creators, designers, writers, producers in the world that I'm trying to promote and help grow since I did it.
All right, wonderful. I'm not going to ask you about your definition of brand and branding, because I already know that you like and adopt the Martin Niemeyer definition. But you wrote on LinkedIn page that I transformed the way founders see their business with brand strategy. You've already mentioned that the brand mindset, because this is the sentence from your bio, because you wrote that you work with entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial companies to transform the way they see their business by unlocking their brand mindset. So let's keep it a bit academical, because we are now at the library on the university I work in Gdańsk. This is north coast of Poland. I don't know if you are familiar with the city, but what is the connection between? Okay, let's start with definitions. Okay, the definition of the brand mindset and the brand strategy, and then let's discuss the connection between these two.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for asking.
So brand mindset, let's start with this.
Yeah. So when working for so many years, collaborating as a client or as a partner, or now as a consultant with a lot of business leaders, entrepreneurs, I realized that the majority of the new businesses are launched, are developed based on a product idea and an execution, but not on a plan to build emotional connections with their clients. And since I mentioned working for Disney, I learned that that's the main thing that took Disney to be a 100 years company. Next year, 100 years, 2023.
Wow.
And it wasn't necessarily because of the quality of the content, because of the creators and people that worked on the company, because of the vision that Walt Disney imprinted. It's because there's an obsessive level of detail related to understanding their customers and planning long term, following those customers along the way. And you'll see one day we're going to be able to watch movies on a nail, and Snow White is going to be there. And Snow White was the first animated feature film 100 years ago, but still Disney will follow customers where they are. And I believe I learned that way, and I'm now identifying that a lot of leaders and businesses are not doing. The first part is to have a plan, which we call the brand strategy, which is a plan to manage meaning. But in order to interpret and make better decisions on top of plan, you need the right mindset. That's why I call the brand mindset, which is a set of principles, attitudes, behaviors that allow you to actually make those decisions more intelligent and maybe faster. The way I put it is that brand strategy would be like the hardware, and the brand mindset is like the software. So when you buy a computer, you buy it for several years. You're going to use it and keep it like 3-4 years. Sometimes it's 5, but you don't change your computer every month, right? On the other hand, the software, you actually have to update it to perform better, to do more tasks, to be more productive. So that's what I call the brand mindset, the software that you have to install in your hardware. Your brand strategy is for several years, is your plan to add value, to connect with your customers long term. And the brand mindset is going to allow you to make decisions in order to be on plan, in order to say yes to the things that are good for that plan, and to say no to the things that are going to deviate you from that plan. Make sense?
Okay, but you wrote that you have to unlock it. You have to unlock the brand mindset. And
Yes.
what do you mean by that?
What
do you have to do to unlock it?
Yeah. So let's say that you go to the gym. When you go to the gym, you don't buy muscles. You have the muscles. So what you do in the gym is actually exercising and growing those muscles, strengthening your body. But you already
You have to know how to do this.
So exactly. So I believe that business leaders already know a lot of things about the product of business. They just need to focus on what I call unleash or unlock the things that they already have, and really focus towards the goals that they have, the vision or the purpose that they have. I listed 6 traits, six things that I try to identify in a leader when we build that strategy, and I make sure that along the way of the project or the process that we are working on, we pay attention to these 6 things. One is self-awareness, to make sure that the leaders know exactly who they are, why are they here, what are they are not, and the context around them, and the second part is, or the second trait is being customer centric, which is, for me, the customer is the epicenter of brand or branding. So you need to surround customers with everything you have in your power to create value to them, but understanding their problems, understanding how they feel facing those problems, where they are, what they say, etc. So your decision making should be in favor to those customers. I tend to say that someone in the organization needs to represent the customer in the table when making decisions, with planning, with all of that. The third one is long-term thinking. Thinking long-term doesn't mean that you can't think what are you going to do next month or next year, but those short-term decisions should be aligned to what you want to go, the direction where you're going or the destination. Fourth is clarity. You have to be clear, communicating to your customers, communicating to your teams, your partners, investors. You need to know exactly who you are, why are you here for again, what to say, what not to say, where do you need to be, and the simpler the better. There's beauty around simplicity, and I believe that clarity brings a lot of simplicity, makes things easier. Being inspirational, again, I think one of the most important parts of building a brand is having a story to tell. I call it world building, like Walt Disney or George Lucas. These creators build these worlds with characters, with villains, with heroes, with the guide. All the hero's journey metaphor, but basically having a compelling and inspirational story is super important to connect emotionally with your customers or clients. There's science that have proven that your brain activates more energy or has more activity when it's related to stories than facts. Facts are more boring for the brain. And the sixth one is being experiential. You need to think your business, your activity, your marketing, everything as a brand experience. Whether you have a shop, a customer service organization, a software company, a product, or a consultancy, everything is a brand experience. And you need to think about the identity of your brand, which is a big part of the experience. So those are the six traits that I defined as part of the brand mindset. So when I interview a brand leader, a leader, a business leader, in my mind, the first time I'm checking, the list, okay, and I ask questions to actually see if that is there. And during the process, I try to exercise those 6 angles through tangible exercises and learnings.
Okay, you've mentioned several times the leader of the team, leaders, but how about the employees? What they should know? Because I've seen this many times that working with different companies, that sometimes employees do not know exactly why they are doing what they are doing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
That's why they're pretty sad every time, because they are coming to the place there to do for the 8 hours some physical, I don't know, exercises, let's say, and they actually do not understand why they are doing this. So I can imagine that every job can be boring when you don't know why you do what you do.
I can actually exercise not only for customers, which are great, but to employees. Let's go through the six parts, right? So as a leader, you must make sure that your employees, your teams, know exactly what we represent as a company, who we are not, what are our values, our purpose, what's the DNA of our company or our brand, and act accordingly. What behaviors are we expecting from our employees or staff or team are the essence of building a brand, because a brand is built from within or from inside out. You need to be clear to your team to what are the objectives, what do we need to do, right? Straight goals, data driven, reading the numbers as well. We talk about, as I mentioned, within the team, we talk about customers, and as a leader, you need to bring up the questions. Is this good for our clients? Are our clients going to like this? What are the problems that we are solving with this or that? How we did some research to confirm that people need this solution, right? The storytelling, the storytelling that you're going to tell outside of your company is essentially built within. People need to believe your story in order for the team to actually go out and tell it to someone. Even in an interview, when you have you're hiring a designer, for example, and you have this interview. Typically an interview, and I did thousands of interviews in my life, typically an interview, it's for the first question is, hey, how are you, candidate? Tell me about you. Who are you, right? So we leave the candidate to talk for half an hour or 40 minutes about their past, their life, their resume and everything. And the last 15 minutes, we talk about the future and what are we doing here, or what do we need you. So I always recommend to flip the interview to make sure that the people that are going to enter are filtered through what you actually want to build as a culture. So the first 15 minutes, you're going to share it with your candidates. What's your purpose? Why are you here? What do you want to achieve in the long term? What are your values? What is the culture that we are here to work with? And then the question will be, how do you see yourself fitting into that? And how are you going to help us extend or achieve our objectives, right? The future. And then if you have time left, okay, any past experience that is relevant to this conversation and checking in with that. 2 things are good outcomes from this. The first one is that you don't lose time talking about irrelevant information, because we don't care about what you did last 5 years. We care about what you're going to do for the next 5. And second, if that person is hired, you started building the internal brand right in the minute you met with that person. If that person is not the right candidate and is going to leave, he's going to tell everyone that he had an excellent interview with you, and is going to talk great about your brand and your culture, and is going to spread the word, right, about wanting to be there. So some examples of how a creative leader or a business leader can apply these things internally as well.
So we have to give the chance, the potential employees to have the chance to taste our culture as fast as possible. Even, I don't know, the advertising can be the first taste of the culture.
You know what I do? I collect job postings. I have a hobby. So I study how companies, big brands or not, try to recruit, because there's the difference between recruitment and hiring. So recruitment is how you reach out to talent and how you relate with those talents to actually get the right candidates in your table. And then hiring is selecting those talents after the job postings. So I would tell you, even the best brands in the world, I'm not naming one, but the best brands in the world are lousy job posters. Because someone in the organization that has to write the job description is not into the brand, and that's a mistake.
Okay, because I can see the similar job descriptions, but the difference can be in the culture, in the way we communicate this. So
yes, so you talk to create a community. There are two ways of doing this. Hi, company X is looking for talented designers with 10 years of experience in graphic design, in web design, in digital, blah, 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 with great characters, super disposition, and blah, 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 study this or that. The job description or the responsibilities are creating ads and X and X. The opposite would be, hi, we want to revolutionize this industry. For that, we need challengers. We need people that want to change this world for good. And the reason why we want to change the world is for this. And in order to do this or that, we need designers. So if you are the designer that wants to change the world for good, we are looking for you. So these are the things that you might do in our job. We might tell you later that there's extra, but please, if you feel connected with this purpose, come here. So in this way, you actually reach out with the people, I would say the best people in the world, because they are going to connect better with that. And they are going to connect much more than the responsibility of the functional role. They're going to be connected to your culture from the minute they read.
Okay, they fit to the brand, not only to them. They not only have qualifications, but they fit.
Yes, because the problem with internal branding or culture building is that they check the technicalities of a person, the expertise on a subject, especially in operational roles, but they don't necessarily check the cultural fit with either the company values or the rest of the teams. So you need to check that at the door first in order to add value for the people to add value to the existing team, rather than just carving value and I would say blend from other companies into yours.
Okay. Yes, makes sense. But we had some technical problem with connection, so that's why I made that pause.
A great way to make sure that either you know how to communicate to the world when you need talent, how to onboard and interview and select that talent into your organization, how to nurture, develop your team, whether if it's with more expertise or personally, it's definitely having a brand strategy that informs your culture strategy and informs everything you do. And the best part, I would say, the most important part of a brand strategy is defining your purpose, defining why are you here, what are you here for, and I always explain this, that purpose is the direction to where you're going.
It's the North Star.
Yes, the North Star. The vision is the destination, a place that you want to land. The mission is your map. The product is your vehicle. Your culture is the fuel for that vehicle. And the milestones that you put for your product are the pit stops on that road trip that you're going. I can go on and on each part, but basically, if you know why are you here, people would actually be more motivated. It would be bigger than just doing the task that you're hired to do. And thinking long term, having an ambitious vision, is going to allow your staff to grow with the brand, to grow with your business, to want to grow and develop towards that vision to actually achieve it. And a clear mission is going to instruct or give a lot of information to the day-to-day, because the mission is the master plan to achieve. The vision is what you do every day to do great.
But I've seen many times that entrepreneurs struggle to understand what the vision is, what the mission is, and how to write this vision down and this mission. But this all is much easier when you know what questions you have to answer. Because through these marketing tools, like, I don't know, advertisement, emanates your culture, who you are, what you believe, who you are looking for. And to know this, you need this brand strategy, as I understand. And as I understand, the brand strategy is this simple questions you have to answer. Okay, the questions are simple, but it's hard to find these answers.
Answers are not.
Answers are not. I know this also from my experience while working with companies, because even when people understand what the brand is, even if this is explained in an easy way and it's all clear and the questions are easy and everyone is understanding them, but to find these answers are...
Well, the way I do is I offer the boomerang effect. So your purpose is to change the world in some way. You don't need to save the world always. The purpose could be, solving a big problem in your customers' lives. And it doesn't necessarily need to be so romantic, but it's less related to making money. The vision is, where do you want to land the business in the next 10 years? And it's definitely an objective, measurable. And then the mission is expressing what the master plan to achieve that vision is. Now, if you actually do that mission and you achieve that mission right, you're going to be able to attain the vision. And if you reach out to that vision, you're going to be loyal to your purpose. So it works that way. So when we define purpose, vision, mission, we didn't talk about values, but when you define those three, it has to work both ways. So it is interconnected. And the best way to check if you're right in that order, going backwards as well. That's the way I do it.
Okay. But again, I've seen this many times, that the companies actually do not know and struggle to find the answer why we do what we do, why we exist beyond making money, and they cannot find the simple answer to this question. The same problem with about the customers. Who do we serve? And they struggle to write down or to visualize who is our potential customers, and they struggle to connect the brand to customer persona, the brand persona to customer persona. And as I said before, there's lots of simple questions, hard to find the answer, and I actually myself, sometimes I'm looking for some tools or some tips how to do this well. I'm not sure if you have time today to explain this. The same with the differentiation. They struggle to find what we are different from the competitors. And so if you can, do you have any tips or any tools easy to use? Not any SWOT tools, but something easier to adapt and to use when you are a sole entrepreneur or a small company and you cannot afford you cannot pay for the agency or for the best marketer on the market. You have to do it yourself.
So I
any
think,
tips for this kind of situation?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of courses, books, and hundreds of millions of pieces of content online that are going to inform every entrepreneur, every person that wants to run or at least describe or building a brand strategy by themselves. There's a lot of resources. That's how I learned. That's how probably you're learning as well, apart from going to school or having a consultant helping you. Now, if you have the money and you have the possibility to pay for an expert that not only is going to do it for you or you, but better, go ahead. Trusting the experts is great. Now, there are different frameworks to think about the things that you need to define. For me, the most important part of a brand strategy is the positioning of your brand, or your product, or your service. How different or unique are you comparing to others? Now, sometimes the design is already, it's the uniqueness, and the colors and the name is something that stands out, and you don't need to have a complete different innovation as a product, but it's distinctive enough to stand out. You need to somehow define what value is. What type of value are you providing? Now, value could be defined in two ways. Usually marketeers would tell you that there are tangible things about the value and intangible things about the value that you're providing. The more tangible things are price, the amount of buttons or weight or color, things that are more, I would say, physical or visual, and attributes of the service or product that you're providing, and the most copyable, the less competitive, I would say, unless you have a killer thing. On the other hand, you have the emotional value part, which is how these things help your customers do things, how they feel about this, what is the emotional outcome after the solution. And then you can build uniqueness by combining those two. Now, there are many ways of defining the value. There's the value proposition, the onlyness exercise from Marty, the positioning statement from many others. There are like maybe 50 different frameworks to actually help you define. Maybe people use many. I use many. One of the things that I, for example, try to use is, if you had to define your brand in one word, which word would that be? That trims down everything about meaning, descriptions, and everything into one word. If that word is strong enough and means a lot, connected to what you want to represent to your customers, you have something there. You can work on top of that. Now, value, as we described it, evolves with time. What we value today is not necessarily valuable in the future. And the examples I give is, for example, going to a zoo. When I was a kid, going to a zoo was a fantastic experience, outdoor, connected to nature, family thing. Now, zoos are, I would say, a wrong thing. It's like a jail for animals. Kids don't want to go there because it's bad for the animals. It's captivity.
It's like a circus,
or a circus with animals, right? So the value of seeing those animals in a different context changed with time. Same thing with a fur coat that meant status in the 70s, maybe 60s, I don't know, 80s. Now you see someone walking in the street with a fur coat, you definitely want that to be fake. Otherwise, that person is wrong, right? And could have trouble in the street. A recent example is what an expensive watch used to mean to people. Having a Rolex or a Tag Heuer or a $10,000 watch in your wrist that just give you the time. Now we're all wearing smart watches, Apple watches or Garmin or these brands, because we, instead of valuing the status that I have in my hand, now I value the well-being, because we want to know more about our biometrics. So the value of a watch changed completely. It's not time anymore. It's not status anymore. It's actually something more inner. So the same thing would change with time. The 24 hours delivery that Amazon got us used to a couple of years ago. Now it's a 1 hour. So if they tell you that they are going to deliver in 1 or 2 days, something that it was completely fast years ago, now 1 or 2 days is slow. Change the value that they provide. So you need to be careful about not taking a picture of your market today and assuming that that market is not going to change with time, that customers are not going to evolve with time, that new players are going to solve the same problem in a different way for the same customers with time. So you need to continue looking at the market and the value that you provide in context.
Okay, that's wonderful. And I do agree that there is a lot of inspiration, a lot of knowledge on the internet, but you have to know who is not going to waste your time. And actually, the reason why we talk to each other now is because that you became the inspiration for me, because I follow you on LinkedIn and I read your post, and that's a great inspiration. And there's too much of everything. There's too many books about marketing, about branding, and you have to choose wisely. And I think it would be great if you, at the end of our conversation, if you invite the audience and or if you can say where we can follow you.
Sure, absolutely. Well, you know my name now, so I'm on LinkedIn and pretty much every social platform that is relevant. You can reach out there. I also have a website for my consultancy that is called LALO. The website or the domain is hello LALO, like hello LALO.com, LALO. And that's it. Please reach out, share what you thought about this conversation, and let's connect.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Ezequiel, for sharing your knowledge, inspiration with Polish entrepreneurs, marketers, and students. It was absolutely a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I had a great time, and thank you for listening and to be open to my thoughts.
Okay, thank you so much.